watching this video. I am Melky and I'm reading my Microsoft Service Agreement right now. We are at standard application license terms, but before we continue, I just want you guys to know that this is not a legal advice. I am not providing legal services, and if you want to rely on the information in this video, please take it with a grain of salt, because I am just doing this for casual purposes, for like exploring the world through this lens. And like I watched Low by Mike, and he gave a lot of not a lot of some disclaimer part. So let me try to give some of them, because I would agree with him if it applies in this video. Wait for a minute, guys. So this is what his video says. This page contains general information. Wait a minute. I missed that. I should have posted. Okay. This page, if I remember it correctly, he said this page contains general information that may differ in your situation. Yeah, okay. And then he says your circumstances may vary. You may want to seek the advice of a lawyer for your legal issues, because I am not giving you professional advice. Okay. And then after that, I expressly disclaim all liability in respect to actions taken or not taken based on any or all content of this page. Okay, so that is from Low by Mike Shorts. If I remember, I should remember, I'm going to put the link in the description, but I'm going to read this first. And another thing from me is that if you try to consult your professional services, not just legal services. You're probably going to obtain some kind of opinions and or talk by me that you're going to remember, and then you're going to apply it in your work and whatsoever. I am not giving you any assurance again, and if you don't take it with a grain of salt, you're going to blame me. I make a lot of mistakes. And I am not planning on not making mistakes. If I were to make mistakes, it is something like evolution. Evolution. Keep on correcting it until it finds the right tune. So that would be the pattern of this video making. If you are going to use the information for high stakes situation in your real life, you're gonna probably find it to be dangerous or damaging, guys. So okay, I'm going to continue on reading now. So I gotta be clear. So better consult your professional service provider, or your assurance provider, or your professional consultant, because I'm not giving any professional assurance here. Next, standard application license terms for applications offered in the United States, Microsoft Store on Windows, and Microsoft Store on Xbox. Oh yeah, one more thing. One more thing, guys. I am going to read it at my own pace. If there is something that I don't understand, I'm going to pause. And as you guys could know from the very beginning of this video, I would not be trying to prioritize user friendliness too much. So it's going to be I'm going to do this for myself firstly, and then also I'm going to share this with you. But yeah, so standard application license terms for applications offered in the United States, Microsoft Store on Windows, and Microsoft Store on Xbox. Okay, so this is only on US. I am not located in US, so this probably would not apply to me, most of them, but let me read this anyway, because I probably would find something interesting. These license terms are an agreement between you and the application publisher. Please read them. They apply to the software applications you download from the Microsoft Store, the Microsoft Store on Windows, or the Microsoft Store on Xbox, each of which is referred to in these license terms as this store, including any updates or supplements for the application, unless the application comes with separate terms, in which case those terms apply. Okay, so if it came with the separate terms, you gotta check it, guys. This one would be overruled, or uh, would would be, what do you call it? I could not figure out that the synonym. By downloading or using the application or attempting to do any of these, you accept these terms. If you do not accept them, you have no right to and must not download or use the application. The application publisher means the entity licensing the application to you as identified in the store. If you comply with these license terms, you have the rights below. 1. Installation and use rights, expiration. What is let me think about this title first. Installation and use rights. Okay, I can get that. And then expiration. Why do they put it like that? You may install and use the application on Windows devices or Xbox consoles as described in Microsoft's usage rules. I've read that in the previous video. Please check it out if you want to check it out. And then there's a link there. Microsoft reserves the right to modify Microsoft's usage rules. There's a link there at any time. 2. Internet-based services. Consent for internet-based or wireless services. If the application connects to computer systems over the internet, which may include via a wireless network, using the application operates as your consent to the transmissions of standard device information. If the application connects to computer systems over the internet, which may include via a wireless network, using the application operates as your consent to the transmission of standard device information, including but not limited to technical information about your device, system, and application software and peripherals, like VR probably. For internet-based or wireless services. Let me read that one more time, without the in bracket part. If the application connects to computer systems over the internet, which may include via a wireless network, using the application operates as your consent to the transmission of standard device information. For internet-based or wireless services. If other terms are presented in connection with your use of services accessed using the application, those terms also apply. If other terms are presented in connection with your use of services accessed using the application, those terms also apply. Also, but previously it says, wait a minute, what does it mean? What does it mean? The Microsoft Store on Windows or the Microsoft Store on Xbox, including any updates or supplements for the application, unless the application comes with separate terms, in which case those terms apply. So wasn't an overrule, wasn't a precedent, or wait a minute, not precedent, a higher order, but because it says here, wait, where was it? Using the application operates as your consent, but not limited to technical information. If other terms are presented in connection with your use of the services accessed using the application, those terms also apply. Now this too is a little bit, so in order to harmonize this, which means my assumption was wrong, those terms apply, but it doesn't mean that those terms would override or overrule these terms, right? So it applies together. In case of conflict, probably is going to be mentioned next. So they haven't mentioned yet in the case of conflict. I don't know about that. I could be wrong, but it's interesting, isn't it? Next, misuse of internet-based services. You may not use any internet-based service in any way that could harm it or impairs anyone else's use of it or the wireless network. You may not use the service to try to gain unauthorized access to any service, data, account, or network by any means. Unauthorized access to any service, network by any means. Wow, Americans, you are being micromanaged? No, just kidding. Wow. Okay, scope of license. The application is licensed, not sold. This agreement only gives you some rights to use the application. If Microsoft disables the ability to use the applications on your devices pursuant to your agreement with Microsoft, if Microsoft disables the ability to use the applications on your devices pursuant to your agreement with Microsoft, any associated license rights will terminate. The application publisher reserves all other rights unless applicable law gives you more rights. Despite this limitation, you may use the application only as expressly permitted in this agreement. Unless applicable law gives you more rights despite this limitation, you may use the application only as expressly permitted in this agreement. In doing so, you must comply with any technical limitation in the application that only allow you to use it in certain ways. You may not A. And wait a minute, before we get there, there are some thoughts that I want to talk about. I know that from the start of the internet, they share this stuff like freely, and things like licensing. Even now, a lot of people don't know about licensing. The intuition would be for a lot of people, like even new kids like little people, human beings that just recently been born, like 10 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old. Their natural intuition would not be licensing but ownership, right? In terms of goods and materials, once they've bought it, they can do whatever with it. But the thing with electronic goods is that they are just a license, and there are interests attached to it when you use it. So my question would be, was the open source culture inaccurate in a way that they were approaching these items? Obviously, their legal terms is legal, so it must be something that is articulate and sophisticated as well. But if you compare that, you contrast that to proprietary products, there are significant differences. So these differences are not intuitive. Like I would analogize proprietary software is something like this. Uh, Previously in history, we experience product that we can touch and own and take for ourselves and fiddle with it without affecting other people's interest. But now, having this product that we can portably take around and use it wherever we want, as long as we have a laptop, these softwares are actually not like those items that we could grab on. Instead, it is like going into somebody else's house and use their items inside there, drinking, probably smoking, or probably watching TV, playing games in somebody else's house. So that is, but it feels so much the same with open source materials. Open source materials, or the license in open source materials, is trying to cater to our intuition of fiddling with tangible goods that we own, that and we can take away anywhere in our house. So that's the unintuitive part there. How similar it is using software, open source wise and proprietary wise, while in fact the mindset when we encounter these two products should be different. This is entering somebody else's house. It's funny as well. While I am doing this, I'm accessing a software, obviously a phone software, in my house. I'm in my place right now, but while I am here, I am also entering a space that is owned by the intellectual property owner and the license provider. This is what a lot of people are not feeling right. A lot of people are not internalize and realize and acknowledge, right? I think it's important for people to actually feel like that, so that it would be going forward, it would make a lot more sense how their relationships are playing out in life. Because the more people felt like, wow, there's something wrong with my relationship, there's something wrong but I don't know what it is, what's going to happen is anxiety, guys. It's going to be anxiety. And and I think this one is very significant, not only because it's an item that people use every day, but also the importance of the distance. For example, I live not in the US. The distance between me and the US is huge, and the relationship is significant like that. A lot of dimensions that happened as well. My relationship with the people on the internet, on the entire world, and my influence when I become a center of attention, even just for 1 day or 2 days. I have a theory that if I could not grab on to my reputation and suddenly it went up and down like this, our it's like an earlobe, right? There's a balancing circuit in here, like there's a balancing organ in here. There's also, like, for our reputation, for our social position. I guess I watched Dr. Jordan Peterson's lecture, and he's talking about a system inside our brain that monitors our position in society. So it's like an ear balance and stuff. So things like that, when it happens like that, pew 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 pew, it's going it's going we're gonna have a little bit of a seasick or something like that. But in terms of our in terms of our grip of our reputation, wait a minute, oh my god, yeah, I mean, I don't have enough money to make a good haircut. Guys, please send me more money, but it's not more. Please send me a lot of money. Okay, next. Work around any technical limitation in the application. You may not. Remember, guys, this is you're inside somebody else's house. At the same time, you are in your place. Okay. Reverse engineer, decompile or disassemble the application, except and only to the extent that applicable law expressly permits, despite this limitation. And also, it is not exactly like that. Therefore, there are a lot of nuances to it, which is going to make you make mistakes if you think like I said you think. But I just want you to guys to approach the target with a better understanding. But if I'm wrong, then that means it's not a better understanding, it is a harder understanding, or it's a misleading understanding. So I'm not going to give you any kind of assurance with that. And reverse engineer, decompile or disassemble the application, except and only to the extent that applicable law expressly permits, despite this limitation. Make more copies of the application than specified in this agreement or allowed by applicable law, despite this limitation. Publish or otherwise make the application available for others to copy, rent, lease, or lend the application. Transfer the application or disagreement to any third party. So imagine that, guys. This digital products gives the creator or the maintainer, not probably not even the creator. The creator already sold the companies to somebody else. In some cases, those people who have access to the server that you access also have access to your house, to your place, to you, to your information, to your patterns. All of them have access to those at the same time, while you have little control over them, because obviously you are just a grain of sand by yourself. But it would make sense if all of the grain of salt united together to become an entity. Then I think it is the justice here, what's just here, will be so obvious that it is a one-way relationship and it's not really balanced, and it would be so obvious, it's sticking out, it's going to appear so clearly. But the fact that we are so dispersed makes us powerless indeed, but it's not what I'm trying to convey. Makes us so stuck, makes us stuck, and not really in control of what we are intuitively as a human being usually would have control over. And it is not even everything, it's just something. Maybe this is not the important aspect of it, but definitely there's an element of that, right? Would you agree? Please leave your comment in the comment section. Okay, if documentation is provided with the application, you may copy and use the documentation for personal reference purposes. Copy and use the documentation for personal reference purposes. Cool. 5. Technology and export restriction. The application may be subject to United States or international technology control or export laws and regulations. You must comply with all domestic and international export laws and regulations that apply to the technology used or supported by the application. These laws include restriction on destinations, end users, and end use. For information on Microsoft branded products, go to the Microsoft exporting website. Oh, I've read this as well in the previous videos talking about export ban. So if you download the software in a country where it is embargoed by the United States, for example in Cuba, you would be violating these terms and conditions. Okay, wait a minute. Again, guys, I'm not a professional. I'm not giving you a professional assurance. I'm just like a casual exploring the world, and I'm prone to mistakes, guys. I'm not giving you an assurance that I would not make a mistakes, and this information would be good for high stakes purposes where damages could be severe or damages could be significant for your life. Oh my, please be careful. Be careful, guys. Take it with a grain of salt. Every guy's contexts are different. Okay, there's a link there for Microsoft exporting website. Next, support services. Contact the application publisher to determine if any support services are available. Microsoft, your hardware manufacturer, and your wireless carrier, unless one of them is the application publisher, aren't responsible for providing support services for the application. Next, entire agreement. This agreement, any applicable privacy policy, any additional terms that accompany the application, and the terms for supplements and updates are the entire license agreement between you and application publisher for the application. Application publisher would be Microsoft Store, right? If with the developers, there's going to be a separate terms and condition. 8. Applicable law. United States and Canada. If you acquire the application in the United States or Canada, the laws of the state or province where you live, or if a business where your principal place of business is located. I don't get it. Wait. Let me read the one without the bracket, and then let's try to read that with a bracket, okay? United States and Canada. If you acquired the application in the United States or Canada, the laws of the state of province where you live govern the interpretation of these terms. Okay. Claims for breach of them and all other claims, regardless of conflict of laws principles. Now, the in bracket part, the laws of the state or province where you live, or if a business where your principal place of business is located, you don't really, it's not always where you live. Sometimes you are connected with your head office or something like that in a different place. Govern the interpretation of these terms. Okay. So it's like with other people outside of business, and dealing with you, it's like dealing with the head office, even though you are in Ecuador or a place like that, or in Bali, right? But actually they're dealing with you in Paris, in New York, where your headquarters lies. Next, in claims for breach of them and all other claims, including customer protection, unfair competition, and tort claims. The law governs claims for breach of them and all other claims, govern the interpretation of these terms, including customer protection, unfair competition, and tort claims. So there are these. It is not obvious for me, guys. Consumer protection is supposed to be available here in the Microsoft Surface Agreement, but such clauses, unfair competition and tort, which is supposed to be embedded here for it to make sense. Let's say it's embedded here somewhere in the Microsoft Surface Agreement, and the interpretation would be in accordance of the place where you live. Mind you that I am here not in the US, so this is not written for me. It probably is talking about you guys in the different states in the US. Okay, next, outside the United States and Canada, if you acquire the application on any other country, the laws of that country apply. Wait a minute, guys. Am I wrong about this? Wait a minute. Standard application license terms for application offered in the United States. It is offered in the United States, but it doesn't mean that it is not. But it doesn't mean that these application license terms doesn't apply for people outside United States too, is it? So if it's offered in Paris, for example, in Germany, for example, these standard application license terms would not apply, right? If it also offered in the US, then of course it's offered in the US. But if it's not available in the US store, it is only available in Japan, for example, you should read another license terms, right? But the application, while it is offered in the US, it's being offered for the rest of the world as well. So this application would apply. Oh, is that the way I should understand it? I don't know, guys. Please leave your comment in the comment section below. It fooled me initially. I was making a bad assumption there. It is kind of my fault, but I also wanted to blame another party a little bit. It's like, why am I wrong about this? I could not accept it here. Haven't reached my acceptance stage yet. No. Denial, acceptance, and wait a minute. Anger, denial, acceptance. Okay, wait a minute. Work around any technical limitation, technology and export restrictions, support services, outside applicable law, legal effect. This agreement describes certain legal rights. You may have other rights under the laws of your state or country. This agreement doesn't change your rights under the laws of your state or country. If the laws of your state or country don't permit it to do so. This agreement describes certain legal rights. You may have other rights under the laws of your state or country. This agreement doesn't change your rights under the laws of your state or country. If the laws of your state or country don't permit it to do so. Number 10. Disclaimer of warranty. The application is licensed as is with all faults and as available. You bear the entire risk as to its quality, safety, comfort, and performance. Should it prove defective, you assume the entire cost of all necessary servicing or repair. The entire cost of repair for a software that is in the cloud usually is supposed to be on the provider, right? It for the hardware it's supposed to be on us, but on the software, unless it's internally corrupt, like locally corrupted, I think that's what's supposed to be meant here. But they're not trying to be specific about that. So maybe you guys should take it like what I said before in order to understand it better. But the fact that they are not being specific about that means there are more nuances than that. The application publisher, on behalf of itself, Microsoft, wireless carriers, and I can be wrong. My opinions could always be wrong. I'm trying to make I'm trying to tune my understanding here, tune my wisdom, tuning up, so I would be making mistakes and correcting it. The application publisher, on behalf of itself, Microsoft, wireless carriers over whose network the application is provided, and each of our respective affiliates, vendors, agents, and suppliers, gives no express warranties, guarantees, or conditions in relation to the application. You may have additional consumer rights under your local laws that this agreement can't change. To the extent permitted under your local laws, covered parties exclude any implied warranties or conditions, including those of merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, safety, comfort, and non-infringement. This bothers me initially when I read that. If your local laws impose a warranty, guarantee, or condition, even though these terms do not, its duration is limited to 90 days from when you download the application. Okay, let me read that again because I interrupted it. Disclaimer of warranty. The application is licensed as is with all faults and as available. You bear the entire risk as to its quality, safety, comfort, and performance. Should it prove defective, you assume the entire cost of all necessary servicing or repair. The application publisher, on behalf of itself, Microsoft, wireless carriers over whose network the application is provided, and each of our representative affiliates, vendors, agents, and suppliers or covered parties, gives no express warranties, guarantees, or conditions in relation to the application. You may have additional consumer rights under your local laws that this agreement can't change. Cool. To the extent permitted under your local laws. Covered parties exclude any implied warranties or conditions, including covered parties exclude any implied warranties or conditions, including those of merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, safety, comfort, and non-infringement. If your local laws impose a warranty, guarantee, or condition, even though these terms do not, its duration is limited to 90 days from when you download the application. Okay, 2 points that I want to talk about. It is why Microsoft, the application publisher, on behalf of itself, Microsoft, wireless carriers over whose network the application is provided. Why are they your partners? How do you know these people? Why are you representing them in these terms? wireless carriers over whose network the application is provided gives no express warranty, guarantee, or condition. This is a positive statement. This is a positive statement, and they're representing like our provider, like internet provider or something. I don't like intuitively you would say, oh, it's a mistake that like people make mistakes in their writing. It's a common thing, but this wait a minute, guys. It is possible. It is possible, I'm telling you, that all wireless carriers in the world actually have Microsoft certification, right? For whatever. And Microsoft actually could say that accurately. That's scary, guys. No, I mean that's amazing. That's impressive. Like if you are Microsoft, if you are Bill Gates, the fact that you've achieved that with Microsoft, like I, I'm not going to try to empathize with Bill Gates, but I would imagine if I created a company and the company become that prominent, I would be so proud. I would feel so good. Like I would, it's not like I would feel so powerful. It's just that, wow, that thing has gone a long way and I started it, right? Wow. Damn, I feel so, I want to be something like that, but I am so far away from that. I feel so inadequate. Wow, amazing. Like, and then after that, what I wanted to talk about here is non-infringement here. There are no guarantee that this thing would not break any law. Okay, it is not designed to comply with a certain law. And firstly, I'm like, aren't you supposed to obey the law all the time? But on the other hand, if you give that warranty, like, okay, if you use this Windows, just by following it, you would always be right with the law. I think that is also not realistic. I'm sure there are other reasons as well for these words to be here, but that is my point of view there. That it is not realistic, and you don't want to give people realistic assurance. So from that alone, uh, indirectly, but it makes sense. Like I would, yeah, like having that in this disclaimer is actually good for me. It's actually good for me as a user. Next, limitation on an exclusion or remedies and damages to the extent not prohibited by law. If you have any basis for recovering damages, you can recover from the application publisher only direct damages up to the amount you paid for the application or $1. Direct damages up to the amount you paid for the application or $1, whichever is greater. You will not and waive any right to seek to recover any other damages, including lost profits and consequential, special direct, indirect, or incidental damages from the application publisher, other than unless you have any basis, right? Okay, next. This application applies to anything related to the application or services made available through the application. Claims for breach of contract, warranty, guarantee, or condition, strict liability, negligence, or other tort. Claims for breach of contract. Wait a minute. This limitation applies to anything related to the application or services made available through the application. Claims for breach of contract, warranty, guarantee, or condition, strict liability, negligence, or other tort, violation of a statute or regulation, unjust enrichment, or under any other theory, all to the extent permitted by applicable law. Why does it extend to claims? How does that relate to one another? A disclaimer, a limitation of liability on claims? So you are not giving any warranties for claims? What? I'm not warranting that that claim is what is reliable of what. Next, it also applies even if this remedy doesn't fully compensate you for any losses. Or the application publisher knew or should have known about the possibility of the damages. Yeah, I mean, look, you're providing services for millions of people in the world. What kind of like, you would foresee some people's going to hurt themselves, right? Like, you open up a store, like, over 10 years, over the span of 10 years, somebody's not gonna bump their knee onto your face over there, or onto your flower, or onto your or that little bump on the floor over there, right? Like, obviously, the remedy doesn't fully compensate you for any losses. It also applies. But why is the remedy compensating you in the first place? Wait. Can you do that? Like, for example, oh, you have done something wrong for me. You gotta compensate for me. Like, I have suffered $100. Give me $100. And Microsoft say, I give you $50 because of this and that and this and that. Only $50. And then that's not fully compensated. So the initial compensation, the $50, doesn't warrant you, doesn't give you the guarantee, the limitation of liability. It doesn't override this. I think that's what it means. It could be mean other things as well, but that's how I'm going to take it. Next, anything related to the this is the part that I'm trying to understand here. This limitation applies to claims for breach of contract, claims for warranty, guarantee or condition, strict liability, negligence or other tort, violation of a statute or regulation, unjust enrichment, or under any other theory, all to the extent permitted by applicable law. I don't know. Please help me, guys. Leave your comment in the comment section. Make me understand about this. I don't get it. So that would be it. Covered surface. I've already read this initially at the start of me reading this, probably in the introduction, if not in the first part of the Microsoft Surface Agreement reading and reacting in my playlist. So I'm going to put this in the playlist as well, together with Law by Mike's link to the disclaimer shorts that